We are back, Sheldon, as is, of course, the challenge itself. But first, let's do our introductions. I'm John Shidley Hill.
And I am Sheldon Alexander.
And this is You Killed It, the podcast about the challenge, back after, what is it, a 2-week break? I'm feeling energized. I'm energized, I think.
I think 1 week. I think it's 1 week, but whatever. We'll go with 2, sure.
It was a space of time. It was the first break that we had taken in months. And also the first break that the challenge had taken in over a year.
So true.
And I gotta say, right off the top of the season debut, the season premiere of Final Reckoning, I was really glad to see a lot of these people back. Like, I missed
totally
these
agree.
people. Who did you miss most?
Do you know what, John? Honestly, to be honest, it's a collective. And I know that's a cop-out answer. I really understand that it's a cop-out answer. But it's just because I enjoy the challenge a lot. And when it switches gears and it kind of like down gears to the Champs versus Stars season, it's cool, right? Like, it's all right. But at the same time, when they gear back up and you get all the people back, it's like 0 to 100 again. And I'm like, this is amazing. Because you have such an eclectic mix of people, and they all bring something different, some different level of drama or entertainment, or, like what we always talk about. You either like this person or dislike this person. You'd want to hang out, have a beer with this person, or you would not want to have a beer with this person. And of course, one of the things that, is an obvious thing about the challenge, there's a very beautiful cast. And so there's a lot of beautiful faces that I'm happy to see again, puts a smile on my face when they come back up on my big screen TV,
Yeah, of course. It's funny. I was just, as we watch the show, we take notes. That's how we get it done. And
Dun, dun,
for me, I just kept adding to this list of people I was excited that they were back.
Okay.
And you're right. Part of it is the excitement of the combination of personalities.
Definitely.
And, the first episode is always the craziest because they always get drunk and you have, like, the groundwork of the hookups being laid, or in some cases, them happening. But, like, I was excited to see Cam and Tori, which is funny because they were on Champs vs. Stars, but still, like, I was excited to see them in their natural habitat.
Yeah.
But I was also excited to see Amanda again, and
I love
Joss
Amanda. I think
and
Amanda's amazing.
Kyle. Sorry?
I love Amanda. I think Amanda's amazing. I really enjoy Amanda a lot. I think she's funny. I do remember someone, like, during one of the other seasons when Amanda was on, I remember gushing about her during one of our episodes, and someone wrote in and said, "You didn't watch the season of Are You the One that she was on, did you?" And I was like, no. And then I went back, and it was like a marathon was on one, like, weekend afternoon, and it was raining, whatever. And I ended up watching like 3 or 4 episodes in a row, and I was like, oh, okay. And it was a very different picture of her, if that makes sense. And so, yeah, like, it wasn't like horrible. It wasn't bad. It was just like a completely different perspective, right? Because I feel like when she comes into the challenge house, I get the bravado, right? Because you kind of have to have that angle when you come into this house, because if you don't, you're just going to get walked over, right? And she's not for the play. She's not for the games. And I appreciate that so much. But I totally understood why there was such a divide on Amanda, because I saw some stuff from her season of Are You the One? I didn't watch the whole season, but I understood just how that might play off a little differently when you're not trying to make waves in the challenge house and you're on that other show. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm curious. I basically don't watch other reality TV. So, what was she like on Are You the One?
It's just the context of, like, what that show is, right? So that show it's basically a dating show, right? So
Yeah.
basically, if you remove all of the challenges, like the actual difficult challenges that they do on this show, you're left with house drama, and that's it. So I see how that might get kind of annoying, like her constantly going at someone. You know what I mean? Like constantly going at someone in the house. Whereas at least on the challenge, in these like difficult, super difficult challenges, not that she's one of the best female competitors, but she's scrappy. She's a solid competitor as well. You know what I mean? She's not afraid to go in against whoever. Like she's gonna compete. She's gonna try hard. She wants to smoke, for lack of a better term. You know what I mean? And I feel like just seeing her in the context of this challenge show in comparison to when it's just, hooking up with this guy, or now you're mad that this guy's not hooking up with you. And it's just that side of it, which I know sounds kind of weird, especially coming off how this season starts. But yeah. We'll see if that continues. But seeing her just piss off Zach, I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was funny. And of course, we remember her battles with Cara on past seasons. I thought that, not Cara, Camilla, right?
Yeah.
It was her and Camilla going back and forth before. Like, I really enjoyed that not backing down to the vets. I appreciate that. I rate that. Because so many other rookies come into the house and they're just like, oh no, we need to like be quiet and not talk back. And she's like, no, I'm here to play.
Not our girl Amanda.
Exactly, right? She's here to play. I like it.
I got to go on a tangent because we are talking about other reality TV shows. I watched The Bachelorette, an episode earlier this week.
Yeah.
It was my girlfriend and her friends wanted to watch it, and I was hanging out with them, so I said sure.
Yeah.
I have to say, the challenge has ruined me for other reality TV shows.
In what sense?
In the sense that, first of all, I find other shows kind of boring. Mm-hmm. But also, to me, the difference is TJ Lavin.
Oh.
And on, like, The Bachelorette, they're all, like, getting moody and, like, sad and, like, they're having a hard time and, like, so-and-so's not here for the right reasons and, like, oh, why won't she go out on a, like, one-on-one date with me? And I just know that TJ Lavin would not tolerate that. And Chris Harrison, like, I think Chris Harrison's a good guy and I like him on the show. But he's always like, oh, let's talk about your feelings. And I just want TJ Lavin to, like, parachute in and be like, hey, shut up. Like, you know what you signed up for. We won't tolerate this on the show. Get out. It's I need that hard line.
You know what I appreciate about the challenge so much? I appreciate, and I guess because it's on cable as opposed to like a lot of those other shows on network TV, like The Bachelor, right? But I appreciate the fact that they're not pretending on the challenge. Like this whole first episode was essentially them in the house partying, and we're seeing them drinking and blatantly talking about hooking up and making out. And it's very, you know what I mean? Like there's no pretending, let's say. It's just, this is what's going on. This is what it is. Mix in some actual like real great challenges, and you have an epic show, because I feel like even the challenges are way better than anything you see on Survivor, right? And mix in all the drama. I'm here for it. And I was here for this episode. This episode was good. This was a great, I know this sounds too obvious because I'm always like so much gushing about this show, but the first episode of a season of the challenge never lets me down. It never does. It gets me excited every single time, and this episode did exactly that. First off, John, I want to give them another shout out because I think they did a great job for people who don't know anything about the challenge, because I got a bunch of friends I talk to at work and stuff, or even just in my inner circle or whatever, right? And they don't really watch the challenge, but they'll always be like, oh, I tried to watch, but I don't really know this person. I'm not really sure who this person is, or do you know what I mean? And they're afraid to jump in. I think one of the things they did at the start of this episode that was so good, they did a great job of explaining the trilogy now of, Dirty 30 to Vendettas to now what is a Final Reckoning. And they give you the backstory of all these people and what their recent beefs are. So if you've never seen a season of the challenge, you basically just got caught up in the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes of this show.
They were very concise in their recapping and got right down to it.
So good. And that trailer off the beginning that recapped everything, like right off the beginning of the show, that showed, okay, it all started here on a Dirty 30, and then it went to this, and then it went to that. Like, that was dope. I obviously know all this stuff, but I was hype. But after trying to explain it to one of my friends at work, I was like, okay, this is perfect because that's gonna be the icebreaker for you to let you know what all the beefs are, right? And so jump in, enjoy.
Do you think that after this season, I don't want to say that they're going to wipe the slate, but they're making it sound like, this is the third part of a trilogy. Mm-hmm. Like, do you think that they're going to have, like, a fresh meat next season? I mean, they've already been bringing in new people, but, like, I know this is just the first episode of Final Reckoning, but do you think that there's, like, where do they go from here since it's supposed to be the end of a trilogy? Because obviously they're not canceling the show.
No, the challenge is doing really well. And of course, like we were talking about it before, right? I think they just had one of their best seasons of the spin-off season, right? The challenge champs versus. So obviously with the hype rolling on that, I assume we're going to get more of that. And so if we're getting more of those seasons, we're definitely going to get more of the challenge. And as the prize money keeps going up, I mean, that has to be good for business as well. So what I think might happen, John, is slowly, and they haven't really made much note of this on the show, but if you're a real challenge head, you've probably noticed that the majority of this cast right now isn't even from like the typical old school challenges that we know, right? Like they're not from the real world, they're not from Road Rules or those old school type shows. The majority of these people are either from Are You the One or like outside shows, right? Like they're X on the Beach or what is it? Are You the One, X on the Beach, or Big Brother, I guess, right? So I think maybe, that's going to kind of be the rebrand for after this trilogy, so to speak, ends, where it's kind of like the new wave or the new generation. Because all these people, think about it, who are the old heads? It's basically just Johnny, CT, Veronica, Brad. That's about it, really? Like your classic challenge people? Everyone else is pretty much a newbie, even though they've been on maybe 3 or 4 challenges, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and Kara, obviously. We forgot about Kara.
Well, but Kara was fresh meat.
Yes.
Like, she's never been on the real world. You're right, she's been around forever. But... Oh, and Jemmye was classic real world. The other ones are from all the... Are from the, like, the ones with twists. Like Sylvia, Tony... and Marie was on a regular challenge, a regular
real
season
world,
of Real World. But you're right, the other ones are like from the ones where like Explosion or what's the extreme one in Las Vegas?
Yep. Like it's so crazy, right? And I think they're not missing a beat because they're bringing in all these different people, but at the same time, they're here for the play. They're here for the games. They're here to compete. As they keep adding up the prize money, it's not going too far into the, like they're not losing the essence of it because the challenges still matter. And I think we saw that in terms of this first challenge. What a great first challenge. Like, I know it doesn't seem to be that difficult of a thing, but when you really break it down, John, like how crazy is it that, first off, who knows how long these people were buried alive for? I mean, we saw at the end, it was dark, right? Yeah. Like by the time the challenge wrapped up. So that tells me that that's at least a couple hours that certain people were buried alive. But just a process of having half the cast show up, right? And then you find out you're going to be paired with someone that you dislike or that you've had issues with before. And now you're going to get a walkie-talkie. Your partner's voice is going to be distorted so you don't know who it is, but they're going to lead you to where their grave is, and you have to dig them up because they're buried alive? Like, what? When I saw that, I was like, this is a great way to start. What a great way to get me in. So good.
How would you do being buried in a grave?
I wrote down that question too, and I would not do well at all. I don't think I would react well at all to being buried alive. I think I'd be super rattled. Yeah, that's not cool. Not cool at all. Don't think I'd do well. What about you?
I think this is one of those situations where at first I'd be like, I'm fine, and then I would not be fine. Classic John. This happens like every time I go on a roller coaster where I'm like, I'm fine, and then I get strapped in and I'm like, no, I'm not fine. Let me off. I can see myself. I think it'd be the same thing.
I could see myself totally being the person that's trying to tell myself, like I'm just repeating, like, I'm okay. Trying to tell myself that I'm okay, but I'm really not okay. I could see that being my kind of game plan that's not working at all.
Meanwhile, your guy, Shane, is in there just singing.
Yeah. Shane was totally cool. And I mean, we kind of got to see certain things, as you're seeing the partners kind of search for who is buried alive and who they're going to be working with. You kind of get a little backstory and you kind of see, what pairs are going to make sense, what pairs are not going to make sense. And the first group to finish ended up being Zach and Amanda, right?
Yeah.
I think, after we know Zach and Amanda win, cool. We just talked about Amanda and how much we both enjoy Amanda. We think she's a great character on this show. But it was funny because she was holding no punches right away, right? Glad to have her back in confessionals, throwing shade super early at Zach. And their beef stems from, Zach says Amanda making up a rumor about Jenna and spreading it around the house. But didn't that prove to be true?
Yeah, no, what she said was correct.
Right? I like how that part was left out of Zach's whole, she was spreading rumors around the house about my girlfriend. I thought that was kind of funny.
I'm annoyed that it even, I see why Zach is salty about the situation, but here's the thing. He had cheated on Jenna. They had broken up. Mm-hmm. They were single. Jenna's free to do as she sees fit.
Yep.
I wouldn't hook up with Bruno, who at the time was, borderline homeless. Mm-hmm. But, to each their own.
Hey, whatever
they fooled around. They're on national TV. Word got back.
But they were on a plane, right? They were on the plane ride to
but there was some footage. Hadn't, Johnny Bananas shot footage?
When in doubt, blame Johnny Bananas, right? So that seems to make sense.
But my point is that, first of all, it's not a rumor if it's true. She's just spreading facts.
Yeah.
That's what you and I do for a living, is spread facts. Second of all, they were on a break, and not to get all Ross and Rachel about it, but Jenna's entitled to do as she sees fit.
Did you just bring up Ross and Rachel because basically the only thing MTV shows is Friends episodes?
Yes.
I feel like the challenge airs in between Friends episodes, so it's always left at the beginning and end of my PVR record.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Sandwich between the two. Shout out MTV Canada.
But yeah, I was happy to see Amanda back, and I was kind of surprised, but not really surprised, that Zach and Jenna are a couple again. And Jenna is so sweet and innocent, and it was so funny to, you kind of want to be on the one hand, really, you're back with Zach again, but she seemed just so sweet and innocent, the way that she's of course the plan is to eventually get married. I tricked him into getting back with me, so of course maybe I could trick him into marrying me too. That's, I hope she's right. If that's what she really wants, more power to you, But it's one of those things where it did make me laugh, but I was happy to see Jenna back.
Yes, she's so nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad. She's another one that I'm thrilled to have back. I loved Zach calling Amanda Satan's asshole. That seems a little strong, but to each their own. You mentioned before we started recording that you have not been on social media. So
I've not been on challenge social media because I knew there was a gap. So obviously we're recording this now Friday morning, right? The episode airs Tuesday night, and I always like to watch the episode right before we tape because I'm the most fired up, I'm the most passionate right after the episode airs. And so I didn't want to watch it on Tuesday, and so that caused me to try to avoid, I saw certain things, but not really any crazy spoilers. Do you know what I mean? So I avoided who was talking shit to each other. I avoided the tweets. I didn't do any of those deep dives to see what was going on the Twitter sphere.
Yes. Well, I'm going to be dropping some knowledge on you today.
Okay.
Just because there's one or two things, three things I need to bring up over the course of our discussion this morning.
Yeah.
About that I've seen on social media. And the first is that there is talk on Challenge Twitter that there is a conspiracy against our girls Jenna and Jemmye.
Oh, okay.
They finished last,
They did.
along with Brittany and Chuck.
Yes.
Which I don't know why Brittany and Chuck. It's just like it really rolls off the tongue as like a partnership name.
Did you forget about Chuck? Because I forgot about Chuck. I didn't know who Chuck was. I didn't understand anything about
I've
Chuck.
never really
totally
watched
forgot
Are You
about
the
him.
One? So
But wasn't he on the challenge before or no? He
no,
wasn't?
that was another lame Are You the One guy.
Oh, okay. Okay, that
But-
might have been what I was confused about. But you know what? Actually, I think I did watch one of those like Are You the One marathons one like weekend afternoon, and I feel like I might have seen that season. I might have seen, maybe that's where I think Chuck's familiar from. I think I might have seen a bit of that season.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
There's some crossover where I feel like I saw a bit of that season of Hunter and Nelson and that whole squad, right?
Yeah.
Anyways,
So, online, fan feedback. People were giving Jenna and Jemmye a hard time for not doing well because they're
Yeah.
supposed to be challenge vets, and Jenna in particular is supposed to be dominant in physical challenges. And also, I gotta note, I think this is hilarious because this is like right down to like the core of their relationship. Jenna asked Zach for help after he was done, asked him where the shovels were. He's like, I don't know, I didn't use a shovel. Like, just like used his hands. But people were giving Jenna and Jemmye a hard time, and Shane tweeted that it was apparent to everyone that Jenna and Jemmye's hole, there was more soil, there's more sand on top of Jemmye than anyone else.
wow.
And the suggestion is that to make the Redemption House as exciting as possible, that they made it more difficult for Jenna and Jemmye to get Jemmye out of there, because Jemmye and Jenna are good TV. Right? Like Jemmye is, you and I always speak about narrators. Jemmye is definitely one of those narrators. Jenna is super popular and beloved. And also, frankly, Zach is going to be like a little more, I guess, hot-tempered without Jenna's calming influence, right? Like he's going to be salty that they went home.
Interesting.
He thinks that he went home. So Shane tweeted that, and that's sort of the theory. The other thing from social media from this was that some people were saying, like, what the hell, Jemmye didn't give Jenna any direction, which, if there's one thing that listeners of You Killed It should learn, it's that these shows are heavily edited, especially when, like, there's so many moving pieces, like a competition like this. And Jemmye said, I think this was backed up by Amanda, or I don't know, one of the other cast members, maybe Kayla. Someone also tweeted that apparently Jemmye talked so much that Jenna's battery on her walkie-talkie was dying, which has the ring of truth. I love Jemmye, and I hope we can get her back on the show. But that sounds entirely accurate, that Jemmye would be talking so much that walkie-talkies would be dying.
You know what's super interesting about that, and if this conspiracy theory, to add another level to this, and who knows if this is true or not, but from a producing standpoint, it might kind of make sense to have, one of your favorites or familiar faces, let's say, have them struggle and lose, not only for the drama of that episode in terms of, like, I know my reaction when I saw that, I was like, whoa, they're done already? But then also now you put those voices in the Redemption House. And now you have good, strong characters to kind of carry the Redemption House angle, to make us care about the Redemption House, to give us good confessionals, to explain what's going on in the Redemption House. Do you know what I mean? And I think that works a lot better as opposed to, let's say it was all new people in the Redemption House, right? We would care so much less about it. It wouldn't even matter. It wouldn't even be a storyline. So in theory, as I'm listening to this and I'm thinking about what I would do if I was producing this show, that would be a great idea, actually, to ensure that one of my veteran teams, right, would be in the Redemption House just for the storyline episode of them quote unquote going home, but also to carry the redemption house. Interesting.
Well, and also, like, let's look at the other two couples that go into the Redemption House. After Amanda and Zach win, TJ tells them they get to choose a third team to go in to.
Yeah.
Well, they don't know there's a Redemption House.
No.
Kicked off the show from their perspective. And Zach and Amanda pick Jose and Davon. I hope I'm saying that right. And Dave, and so if we don't have Jenna and Jemmye in there, and it's Brittany and Chuck, Jose and Davon, I wouldn't want to know what's going on in the Redemption House. Like
exactly.
Like Brittany is the most interesting of those four. Jose, I find just annoying, like off the hop. I don't. There, we only got like 2 minutes of Davon, but I do not like her either. So.
So Davon, I watched that season of Big Brother, and Davon is hilarious. She will cause drama in the house. She is a funny, like, good character, right? And she actually did 2 seasons of Big Brother. Didn't really do too well on either season, but she's a great character. She's a good person. She's really nice, but once you cross her, yeah, you're going to have problems there. Her and Jose dynamic, that's not going to be a good team in terms of challenges, in terms of making interesting and entertaining episodes. Yeah, you're going to get that. And I mean, we saw it already as soon as Zach announced that was a team they were sending in, right? What did Zach try to say? He's like, "Oh, we're not trying to ruffle any feathers." And Davon was quick to point out, "No, it's just a pussy move." I was like, "Whoa, okay." And they didn't blank it out either. I was like, all right, MTV, I see what we're doing here.
Well, it's just, I love it when people are like, it's a pussy move. Well, but someone has to go in.
You know what, John?
They don't know you.
Exactly. So going along with, obviously at the time, I didn't know that there was a redemption house, just like Zach didn't know that there was a redemption house. But when he made that pick, I was kind of like, okay, what is the move to make here? Do you try to take out a strong team, right? Because if you're telling me I get to send them home, that's an interesting move. And I was thinking, maybe you take your shot and you send out a strong team. But then when he brought up the fact that obviously him and Amanda have completely different friends, it's going to be difficult. It would be difficult for them to agree on what strong team to send home. So I kind of understood his pick. But now taking it next level and realizing about the Redemption House twist, do you think they thought about that already? That there could be a Redemption House, and so we probably shouldn't, send in Johnny or send in whoever, someone who could come back and, ruin our game 5 weeks from now. Do you think they thought about that?
Yes, I definitely do. I know that I think Zach's political game is pretty good. Mm-hmm. He's obviously much better at the physical stuff, but Amanda is super smart. And aside from her hot temper, she has a good political mind too. So they definitely discussed it. Like there's no way they're dumb enough to not assume there's a redemption house.
Yeah. Fair enough. So we didn't really go through the teams, and it doesn't really matter so much at this point, but I think if we kind of list off who's with who, and if we kind of care to elaborate, we will. But you know what I mean? Let's kind of just go through who's partnered. Cara and Marie, that's a team. Yeah. An obvious team. I think pretty much you would assume heading into this challenge, if you said who's Cara's partner going to be, and it's going to be someone she doesn't like, knowing their history, it's an easy pick, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so after Cara and Marie, and shouts to Marie. I always have time for Marie. I think she's super entertaining. But also, in that trailer that aired at the start of the show, was that Sylvia headbutting Marie?
Maybe. I didn't really see who she headbutted. I saw the headbutt, but it wasn't clear to me who it was.
So, to me, it could have been a cheat because it kind of sounded like Marie, and the hair kind of looked like it could have been Marie, but I was more so like, no, I don't want to see them beef, right? I want to see the Suicide Squad stick together and take down some opponents, right? So I hope that's not a thing. But going forward, let's go through some other teams. Nelson and Shane. I think this could be a good team if Shane finds a way to stay out of the drama and Nelson decides to not pay attention to the girls and get distracted by the girls in the house. That could actually be a good team, I think, no?
Yes, definitely. When looking at the teams, they're definitely one of the ones that I consider dangerous.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there as well. Natalie and Pauly. So we kind of know, we've talked about it, we've alluded to it, this whole, Pauly and Cara Maria thing, which we'll get into later. But for those people who are unfamiliar with Pauly's Big Brother episodes, let's say, it's super interesting to me because it's the turn that Pauly had. Pauly was on Big Brother, I think it was season 18, right? And this was after his brother Cody was on 16, Big Brother 16, and actually came in second place. And so that season, Cody partnered up with Derek. And they were like, and again, this is a completely different level of reality show that's like the Barney version of the challenge, right? Like the super PG version of the challenge. So Cody is like the super nice guy. Him and Derek were running the house basically for the whole season. That was their alliance. They stuck together. They never turned on each other. They went all the way to the finals. Derek ended up winning, right? Cody's super nice guy. So in the following seasons, when Cody's brother comes on, you're expecting him to be the same, and play kind of the same game. It was drama free, stuck to his word. He was a nice guy, well liked within the house. And Pauly started off like that, except he kind of got a little too cocky, right? And so the power kind of went to his head, and then midway through the season, the house flipped on him, and he turned into such a jerk. Like a complete, unlikable character on Big Brother. He turned into that guy, right? So to see him now on Big Brother, on the challenge, where obviously the challenge embraces those characters, right? And he's paired with Natalie. It's kind of an interesting turn for me to see Pauly now, but also with this whole Cara Maria thing and how that's going to be a thing this season. This is weird, man. This is weird for me to watch. And I'm interested to hear if any of our other listeners have seen Pauly on Big Brother, or I guess on X on the Beach, where I guess he had an interesting season there as well. But interested to hear from a bunch of our listeners if they're familiar with Pauly and what they think of him.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm having a hard time reading him. My only experience with him is this episode. Mm-hmm. And I know Danielle, his girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
I know her from Bachelor in Paradise, and she is, first of all, gorgeous. Yeah. And second of all, just seems like a really cool, nice, fun person. And Cara Maria was kind of taking shots at Pauly's relationship with Danielle, saying that she's boring, and maybe she's boring in comparison to Cara Maria, but it's because Cara Maria's relatively crazy. Danielle's just a very nice, normal human being, and if you're looking for a long-term relationship, it's the kind of person you'd want to date. Yeah. So yeah, it's funny because he's so obviously we're kind of skipping ahead, but he's so obviously into what Cara Maria is throwing down. It's not he's so humoring her.
Yeah.
It's not he's humoring her and being oh yeah, no, I'll catch you later, and then actively avoiding her. He's into it. From the hop, he's feeling it.
Do you know what's so funny too? It's weird because we're watching it, obviously knowing what's happening with Cara Maria and Pauly right now. So it kind of heightens the drama to hear him now be oh, I'm in this serious relationship and I love my girl. And what was the quote he had? He said something I got burgers and steaks in front of me, but I got filet mignon at home. Is that what he said? Yeah. Something like that? I don't know. It's funny to watch him lay it on thick about, play the good guy role. But it always reminds me of a Chris Rock bit that's from way, way back, and he talks about cheating. and he says, as guys, we might stop chasing, but if it's chasing us, sometimes we can't run fast enough away. And I kind of feel like this is what's gonna happen to Paulie. I mean, it did happen to him because we see it happen super quick. But Kara she's laying it on thick for him. No?
Oh, super thick.
Super thirsty too. Like I don't know. That seemed to be a bit much. And I wonder too, like, is that all just motivated by Kyle making out with Faith and he's just trying to make her jealous? Or is it more so what Marie has alluded to when she was on our show and she told us that Kara likes to enjoy herself on these shows? I'll say that if I'm going to be politically correct.
Yeah.
Not that Marie used those terms, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I think it's more for, I mean, it's definitely for Kyle's benefit. Like, she's definitely reacting to Kyle hooking up with Faith. And also Kyle just, like, washing his hands of her, like, right off the hop.
Well, what was the story? They basically talked after the last season, but then he went to Thailand for a couple months and never talked to her?
Yeah, so he apparently, if I have my facts straight, he visited her in Boston, which I remember, like, it was on her social media.
Yep.
And then he, like you said, he went to Thailand for like 2.5 months and just didn't get back to her.
Super crazy, super weird. Obviously, you saw the episode, so we know that Faith ends up making out with Kyle, which isn't surprising to me at all. And she was actually the next name I had written down because she's partnered with what's homegirl's name from Bad Girls Club? Angela.
Angela,
and
yeah.
For people that don't know, Bad Girls Club basically is just, I mean, I guess the name sums it up. It's a bunch of women on a show that just fight, essentially. Like, they're stuck in a house. It's a reality show, and they essentially just end up getting into fights. Basically, that sums it up, yeah. So
yeah.
That's Angela and Faith were both just on X on the Beach, but Faith originally is on a show called Vanderpump Rules, which I'm not afraid to admit, I do watch Vanderpump Rules, and I will blame David Jacoby, who we've talked about a bunch on this podcast because he used to do the Right Reasons podcast on The Ringer with Juliette Littman, and they always used to talk about Vanderpump Rules, and they basically sold me on the show, and I've been hooked on it ever since. So Faith was on Vanderpump Rules, but she wasn't a major character on that show at all. She was like a secondary character, a background character, but she kind of made a splash on a recent season because she ended up hooking up with the main character, who is Jax Taylor. And Jax is like the bad boy. He's basically dated all of the girls on the show and cheated on all of the girls on the show. And Jax cheated on his current girlfriend, with Faith.
Oh.
So, and at the time, like, people were kind of saying that Faith did this to try to get on the season of Vanderpump Rules. Like, she's trying to be on it. So she slept with Jax with that motive of spreading the rumor, starting the rumor, exposing him because she was trying to make a storyline to get on the show. And, I mean, Jax cheating on his girl became a big, major storyline on Vanderpump Rules, but it didn't really include Faith. So her plan didn't really work. But now we see her making her another way into the reality TV world, and now she's on The Challenge. Just trying to give you a little background.
I appreciate it. Let's continue talking about the teams, because we're getting a little off the beaten path here.
Yeah, Brittany and Chuck, we talked about them. Don't really care about them. Davon and Jose, we already talked about them. Jenna and Jemmye, cool. We talked about them. Brittany and Chuck, I just said that. Why am I reading that again? Why does Johnny Bananas not have a partner?
Because my understanding, I could be wrong on this, but my understanding is that it was supposed to be Devin, but then Devin's dad died.
Oh, okay.
And so he obviously went home. And so I think that's why they didn't have anyone for Johnny, because, like, it is kind of weird, but also understandable.
Yeah,
given Devin's personal life situation.
definitely. That
And
seems to make sense.
yeah, and so I know who they're bringing in. You can
Okay.
probably guess. You're a smart man.
Yes.
But that's why
Um,
they had to, why they didn't have someone ready for Johnny, because my understanding is that Devin had that personal situation.
I gotcha. I gotcha. So some other groups we got Sylvia and Joss are a team, right?
Which is, I think, low key a dangerous team.
No, I agree
Like,
with that.
to me, it's a, it's like uh, like a fifth seed in March Madness.
I
You know what I
gotcha.
mean? Like, never
Yeah.
really got it done, but like a ton of potential. Because like, obviously, we all know that Joss is a physical specimen. Just ask Sylvia.
Yep.
And also, Sylvia like showed a lot of heart against Melissa
Hmm.
in Vendettas, and in the past, Sylvia's very smart. Like, Sylvia is going to be good at puzzles and the political game, and it seems like Joss is just really well liked as well.
No, I
So, to
totally agree with
me,
that.
they're kind of a sleeper.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think they're a very super sleeper couple. Speaking of a former couple, I guess, Tori and Derek are also a team. It's fun to see them interact again. Uh, thoughts? Any thoughts on them or no? We're tired of them.
I don't like Derek, and I love Tori,
Okay,
so that's going to be tough.
interesting,
Um,
interesting. We have. Sorry, go on.
well, I was going to say one thing I liked, and I'll note this now because I think we've touched on all these teams. Yeah, we have. I
Well, there's just the
really
only people left are Kaylee and Kayla, and Killa Cam and DJ Mel,
and
and
CT and Veronica.
CT and Veronica. Yep, Team OG. I think we'll call
Um,
them that.
but
I
I
think that's
wanted
it.
to give a shout out to Angela and Faith, Polly and Natalie, and also Tori and Derek, because all three of those teams
Hmm.
first night in tried to handle their business and
Oh,
like pulled each other aside
yeah,
and like talked. I mean, I don't think you can solve all their issues,
yeah,
especially Tori and Derek, like
yep.
immediately. But I really respect them for being like, "Hey, we're here to win some money,
A
and
million
we
dollars, not
a
some
million
money. A million
dollars.
dollars.
We got to get along." And like, I think Jenna and Jemmye don't need to do this because I don't think their vendettas that bad, and they're also
No,
both very nice people, and I think it's not that big a deal.
yeah,
But certainly, like Tori and Derek, he has every right to hate her. Like, she cheated on him straight up,
yeah.
and uh, that's obviously not cool or acceptable. And like with Angela and Faith and even Polly and Natalie, I liked Polly being like, "So what am I into here? Like, I've never been on the challenge.
Yeah.
Who am I beefing with because of you?"
Yeah, yeah. It was a great way to handle it. Definitely made a lot of sense. And it was funny too, the Faith and Angela thing, because they were just basically arguing about, I guess, someone did body shots with the other one's boyfriend on the show or something. Like,
Yeah.
it's just
Ugh.
like, all right, let's figure this out here for $1 million, right? So that was pretty cool. But also, John, the other thing, and it wouldn't be the challenge if this didn't happen, right? The very first night things start to get super interesting. All types of shit. First off, the arguments over who gets what room, closet space becomes a thing. You got your normal people stirring the pot, namely Shane and Johnny Bananas, just there to stir the pot and know who to push the right buttons with, right, to get them going. Angela freaks out right away. That becomes a thing. Then there a few makeout sessions early. Amanda and Joss, is that a couple we're gonna see? A showmance we're gonna see this season? Are you
I
in on
mean,
that?
I am in on that. I mean, if so, that is a super attractive couple.
Yes. As I said, shouts to Amanda. Happy to have you back. Yes. Yeah, so you have Amanda and Josh hooking up. We touched on already Faith and Kyle, who we know Kyle doesn't mess around. He's just here. He's here for a good time, for sure. Johnny Bananas was quick to go run and tell Cara Maria, which led to that whole drama, and Cara trying to get with Paulie, which we talked about, and she tried to introduce the term of polydicking again, right?
Yep.
Who was the original term, the original person that brought up polydicking? Who was that?
Smashley.
Smashley, yes. How could I forget that? My apologies, Smashley.
Her gift to the world of the challenge.
Yes. Yes, well played, well played. But yeah, so much drama going on, but obviously one thing stood out more than others, right? And that would be Kaylee and DJ Mel still have beef with Kayla, which could be problematic because Kayla and Kaylee, I know this is going to get very confusing, but Kaylee and Kayla have issues and they are partners. So this is not going to go well. Like, this was doomed from the start, no?
It was doomed from the start. And first of all, yes, I had a hard enough time saying Kayla's name as it is. For her to be partnered with Kaylee, not helping me at all. Putting me in a tough spot.
Kayla
and Kaylee. Oh my god, this is ridiculous.
I'm here for you, John. Don't worry, I got your back. I'm here for you.
Thank you. These are the most millennial names ever. It is the worst.
Says John, right?
Yeah. Hey, listen there, Sheldon. You and I have basic bitch names, and I'm comfortable with that.
That's amazing. That's too funny. Oh, man. No, but again, this partnership was doomed from the start, and it dates back to beef from prior seasons where Kaylee and DJ Mel were basically on Twitter talking about how they think that Kayla cheated on her boyfriend on the show, made out with Tony on a prior season. Something that Tony and Kayla, and now I keep emphasizing the Kayla, but Tony and Kayla have adamantly denied. There's been no footage, there's been no actual proof, but yet this rumor still stands, and DJ Mel, I mean, she's not hiding from the fact that she, went on Twitter and turned this into a huge thing. And she tries to, well, I don't even really know what she was trying to do here, because you can't really say that she was coming to squash it. She's just coming to talk to Kayla. Like, I don't even know what her intentions were in this conversation, but it got heated real quick.
It did get heated. And like, at first I was like, oh, this is reasonable. Melissa also wants to bury the hatchet. I'm like, that's a mature thing.
Yeah.
But then things escalated in the span of like maybe a minute. I mean, we don't know about edits, but it went from 0 to 60 pretty damn fast.
Yes, we have to remember whoever we have on this show, we got to ask them about like what went down, because it's the first night, and also, when was the last time we actually saw a fight on the challenge? Like, not that this was a fight with full-blown punches thrown or anything like that, but I feel like most of what we've gotten over the past few seasons, at most it's been yelling in each other's faces and a lot of like hold me backs. This, like, that first push that Kayla gave to Mel, that was a I want to fight push, right? That was the like Jose Batista to what's his name?
Rufnet Odor.
Right, yeah. That looked like that push. Like, that's like, I want the smoke. Now, mind you, Batista really didn't want the smoke. Or he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready. And I don't think Kayla was ready for how Mel came back at her either, no?
No. Did she not remember that Mel does MMA?
Well, you know what? In that same comparison, sticking with the Batista and Rugnet Odor and Mel playing the role of Rugnet Odor, I'm always reminded of Bomani Jones just had the funniest take on that Batista thing. And his whole thing was Jose Batista was trying to get ready, but Rugnet Odor stays ready. You have to remember, you don't got to get ready if you stay ready. And in that situation, right, Melissa was ready. Right? So good, but it perfectly sums it up because they started going at it, and you could tell because if you watch it back, right, there's a bunch of other people sitting around, and if you watch Tori, like Tori doesn't seem to think that this is going to be a big deal. Like she's kind of laughing and in another conversation. Like there's other people milling around, and then even when they stand up to yell, it took a second before people started to get in to try to break it up, right? And we never normally get to that point. Normally, once people start yelling, everyone's ready to break it up before it gets to any physicality.
I'm very curious. What do you think Melissa's real intent was in approaching her and approaching Kayla?
I think she was trying to G-check her. She was trying to see what kind of energy Kayla was going to bring in real life to her because Kayla talks real greasy, and I mean, they all do on Twitter, right? Everyone's a Twitter gangster, and Kayla talks greasy on Twitter. And I think that Melissa was trying to G-check her and see if she'd have that same type of energy when they were now face-to-face. I think that was Melissa's intent. Like, she's going to try to see, oh, what's this girl going to really say to me face-to-face? Because she had a lot to say on Twitter. And I think that was her intention. And so Kayla strikes me as a person that she was gassed up because everyone else is around now, right? And so she doesn't want to get... This is like... Remember what we were talking about in the... Was it the finale or the reunion episode? But either way, people come on these shows and basically you're trying to not get punked off, right? Like you don't want to get punked off on national TV. So when this argument starts and they're going back and forth, there's an audience, there's a bunch of people watching, right? A bunch of the cast are sitting there watching, and they're waiting to be entertained. You see big smiles on Johnny Bananas' face. Marie's there laughing. Everyone's laughing, joking around. You see some people even try to kind of break it up, and other people hold them back and be like, no, let them go, because they're being entertained by what's happening. But also, we got to remember, the cameras are there. So they know I can't get punked off on national TV, right?
Yeah.
And that's when it escalates, when it's like, oh no, this girl's trying to diss me now. Like she's pointing in my face. She's talking over me. And yeah, Kayla threw the first push, no? That was the first point of contact?
Yeah. Well, yes. Melissa, like reared back her fist, like, to like, threaten that she was going to hit her. But the first point of contact,
I missed that part. I missed that part by Melissa. But either way, they get into an actual like physical altercation to which people have to actually break it up. And yeah, what did you think was going to happen? Did you think that they were going to get kicked off the show?
Yes, because they have a zero tolerance policy. So those two are going to get kicked off the show. The real question is, though, what happens to their partners? Kaylee and Cam.
Killa Cam. I think they're going to make them become partners. They're going to make them partners. Killa Cam and Kaylee are going to become partners. I think that's a fair thing to do.
And they don't like each other either.
No. But going back to this little altercation for a second here. So, as I said, I think Melissa's intention was to G-check Kayla, but we also saw Melissa do the same thing with Cam on the last season, right? Where they were up in each other's faces, but obviously no one's really fighting because they don't want to get kicked off the show. So I think the blame, even if Melissa did, cock back her fist as if she was going to do something, what was Kayla's intention in pushing her that hard? Like, that to me, like, you're actually now starting the altercation. You're taking it now to that next level. And again, to use the same analogy, you're telling her to get ready. And you only push someone like that unless you're ready to fight. No?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, there's a third person in that fight, right? Alcohol.
Oh, so, I see what you did there. You had me. I was like, wait, what did I miss? Well played, John. Well played. But yeah, so they're both off. Do you think they're actually kicked off? Because we haven't actually seen them leave yet. Do you think there's another twist, or are they actually kicked out?
I mean, can I give you spoilers? Or do you want to... Because I kind of know what
No,
happens.
I don't want the spoiler. No, I do not want the spoiler. I'm
All
putting
right,
my
no
foot
spoilers
down.
then.
I do not want the spoiler. You actually know, so people know?
Yeah, people know.
Yo, people, and I'm going to say this, and I really hope people listen to me, and I'm now just, like, asking for it. Don't send me what happens. If I stumble upon it, cool. But don't send me that spoiler. I don't want that spoiler.
All right,
I want to find out next Tuesday.
I'm not going to spoil anything. How about that? We can just
I
move on
appreciate
because I don't know how to get out of this topic without spoiling.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So the episode ends on that cliffhanger. What's going to happen to the two partners? A pretty solid fight. I actually agree with Johnny Bananas for once, where he was calling out Kayla for trying to play the victim the next day. That was super lame, and I totally agree with Johnny. Like, they were both yelling at each other. They both had a huge role, and if anything, Kayla pushed her first. And so to play the victim the next day and try to act like, oh no, she came at me when I was sitting on the bed and blah, blah, and it's like, shut up, stop it, right? And to have the fake tears, like, get out of here.
Well, and also, I forget who, someone also tweeted and made the very fair point that Melissa and Cam, the previous season, were like chest bumping for like half an hour and didn't throw hands.
Exactly.
So
no,
like,
so true. That's on Kayla. That is definitely on Kayla. I totally agree. But yeah, I mean, that's it for episode 1. Shout out to the trailer for the This Season On. I'm always here for that. Trailer got me hype. I'm in.
Before we get to the MVPs, our MVPs, I have to. So we discussed before that you wanted to do our quote of the episodes. Do you have a quote ready? Because I do.
You go first. I think I have one, but I'm trying to remember if I said it already in this episode. But go ahead.
My quote of the week is from Shane when speaking of Angela. If she falls in the water, I'm sure she'll float. I'm not sure, lips or tits. That made me snarf. That was great.
Yeah, I did say mine already. I was giving it to Davon, and the reason why I was giving it to Davon was because we might not get that much of Davon this season, and her first impression might not be that good, but Davon is a great reality TV character. Like, I want to see her interact with all the shenanigans inside the house. Her role on the Big Brother house, she was called Mama Day. She kind of was like the like auntie of the house, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So I'd kind of like to see her interact. But when Zach made the call that, hey, we're going to throw them in because we don't really know you, so we're going to try to make the safe move, and she was very quick to say, no, that's the pussy move. I was like, yep, in. I like it. No shade, no hiding. She just straight up said it. Between Jenna begging to get married, we got a lot of stuff. Oh, sorry. Maybe it should be this. Maybe it should be when Paulie says, Kara says, I don't know why Kyle won't talk to me. I'm still around for a ride. I would still want another ride. I was like, all right, way to be subtle. But yeah, who's your MVP, John?
I think my MVP has to be... I mean, I'm just going by gameplay. No. I've thought about this. I'm going with Amanda.
Yep.
Because, A, I missed her, and she's hilarious. B, she won. She won with Zach. Granted, she didn't do a lot personally. She just had to lie still. Mm-hmm. But I really respect that. And finally, she got to make out with Joss, and it seems like that's happening. And good on you, girl. Go get it.
I wholeheartedly agree with you, John, and I give her the win because I always like this, and I always point to this, but she had an episode that fully encompasses what the challenge is. The challenge is actual competitions, which she came in first in. The challenge is also house drama and partying, and she made out with Josh. So, hey, that's another win for her. But also, confessionals. As a producer, as someone who's worked on some low-level show of reality show and nothing near the level of the challenge, but I've had to do the job where you do confessionals. And so I understand the importance of having great cast members that are great in the confessional chair. And to have Amanda back, hey, I'm happy about it. That is a win, win, win. Amanda, you are my MVP. Unanimous MVP.
Unanimous right off the hop.
Yes.
I'm into it. I have some more challenge news for you, though, since you have been staying removed from challenge Twitter. Are you ready for this? You're going to have strong opinions about this.
Okay, I'm listening.
Johnny Bananas is the new host of NBC's First Look, which is their, like, travel show.
What? What is... Yeah. Hold on. What? Hold on. What is First Look? When does it... Like, what is that? I don't even... Is that a thing?
It's apparently been around for a while. He's taking over hosting duties from Ashley Roberts of the Pussycat Dolls.
Okay.
And it was announced last night. It's their late night travel series.
Wow. I mean, congrats to him. That's a big look. And I mean, the fact that he's able to parlay his success on the challenge, that's only good for the brand. That's a great look for the brand. The brand is strong, to steal a term from Jesus Amaro. Yeah, shout out to Johnny Bananas. You know, he's made this challenge thing a career. And hey, if that's the next step, more power to him. Congrats.
Yep. I can tell you, so far, filming First Look has taken him to Roswell, New Mexico to look for aliens, a cannabis farm in Northern California, and his favorite location yet, Alaska, where he spent 9 days climbing glaciers, watching bears, and whitewater rafting. That's from People magazine. I didn't write that.
Wow, that's a great... I mean, again, shouts to Johnny Bananas. The ability to turn this into the challenge appearances into that's amazing. That's amazing.
Well, and that's the thing. He of anything he's done in his life, he's a very well-traveled person, right? Thanks to the challenge. Yeah. And he even made the point on this episode. He's been on 18 seasons of the challenge.
Yeah, so that's a lot.
So if each one represents one country, and usually they represent two, right? Because they have like a switch for the final, and he's usually in the mix for the final.
Yep.
Like, he's been to probably over 30 countries. That's pretty solid.
That's actually a great point. I didn't even think of it in that context, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So just a little challenge-related news for you that I wanted to drop on you. I'm excited for this season.
And I appreciate that.
Before we go, I have one last question for you.
Okay.
I want to know right now, which team do you think is going to win?
I'm gonna go with Zach and Amanda.
Ooh, that's a good pick. That would be, I think, one of my picks.
I'm going to go with Zach and Amanda just because Zach seems to have had this game figured out finally, if that makes sense. Like, he was always a pretty good competitor, but he's found a way to stay out of the drama. And I think with Jenna not being in the house, he'll do what he did on the last season of Vendettas, where he just sat in the background. Him and Tony sat in the background. Tony kind of was the front man for a lot of the moves they were making. But Zach was calling the shots as well along the way. But he did it from the background. And it got him very, very far, obviously, right? He come in second? Came in second, I'm pretty sure?
Came in second.
So I think that experience, he kind of knows how he has to play the game. And Amanda, I think, knows that Zach is a good competitor. And so, whereas she might normally go at Zach, she'll kind of tone that down and understand the bigger game. And again, she's a good competitor. Her being with Joss, of course, that could kind of blow up. That could be a bad thing, but it could also be a positive because that's just getting more votes. That could help you build an alliance, let's say, right? So That's my early pick.
Well, I really like that pick, and I'm a little mad at you for taking it. But I will go with the poor man's Zach and Amanda and pick Joss and Sylvia
Okay.
as very much Zach and Amanda light. So I think that's my pick for now, although I'm not super confident. I do think Zach and Amanda is a better pick, but for the sake of being different.
I got you. I got you. And people, let us know what you think. Let us know who you think the favorites are so far after episode 1, and whether you enjoyed the first episode of the challenge Final Reckoning. I was trying to remember what it was called, and I couldn't remember what it was called, but I got there.
All right, Sheldon, I'm so glad we're back. And tell the people where they can find you on the social media, on the soch.
On social media, you can find me on Twitter at Shell Alexander, on Instagram at Sheldon Alexander, and again, look out for the YouTube channel. We got the podcast up there, a lot of little other content and interviews we've done in the past with whether it's Wes or Casper Smart. Lots of stuff there on the YouTube channel as well. We are taking over this podcast space.
Yeah, we are. And you can get me across basically all social media at J Chidley Hill. So, Twitter, Instagram, that's where you can find me. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. I'm so excited the challenge is back. Can't wait till next week.
It's going to be a good one. But until next week, this was You Killed It.
You killed it.